Welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Jason Dagate. Again, we're taping live on Thursday night. It's about 6:45 or so. We've had several members of the local delegation call in just to give a brief summary and recap of the legislative session, which wrapped up at 6 p.m. today. And also calling in on the line now is State Representative Dee Richard, who is now on the line joining us. And we want to thank him for calling in as well. Representative Richard, are you there?
I am, Jason. How you doing?
Hi, doing fine. Thank you very much again for your work over this past session. I know it's always a grind going through the process, and it concluded today at 6 p.m. If you could just give the citizens of Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish your thoughts on the overall session.
Sure, Jason. And you said the word. It is a process. You got to play through it to get back and forth between the Senate and the House. But no, House Bill 1, which is the main budget that passed, and I think we were all satisfied in the fact that there were no cuts, or very minimal cuts to higher education,
right?
Benefit to Nickel State, of course, and health care was restored, so I think everybody's happy. But Jason, the only concern was that K-12, even though it wasn't really cut, it wasn't really funded like we should be funding it, and that's the push we're going to have to make next year, is to put more dollars in K-12. We got to make a decision if we want to keep funding public education at the level it needs to be. And so that was a disappointment. But overall, this is the first time in 10 years that House Bill 1 passed unanimously.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, that was the first time. So that was a good thing. I'm still trying to find out where was the $1.6 billion shortfall, how we answered that. Mm-hmm. I know we still use one-time monies, and the thing that I don't like about it is we're still grabbing fees from different departments to balance the budget. But overall, we had to support it, Jason, because it did put money back in the budget for health care, which is dear to my heart, and, of course, higher education. So that was a good thing. Disappointing thing was the fact that the reforms, and I know I had two bills that were supported by John Kennedy that we should have passed. That was a disappointing thing because this was an opportunity this year to change the way we spend in this government, and we did not do it. Three things I look at is we did not support the merger to put two schools together that we should have done, and we didn't support the two bills that John Kennedy supported that I had, and that was to reduce government employees and to also reduce public contracts. So that was a disappointing thing that the governor did not support.
Okay, and let's talk about the reducing of government employees, because
right.
I think there's some misconception there that those in support of that issue are saying, okay, we just need to go through and start firing everybody in the government,
right.
That's
right.
certainly not the case, right?
Right. We got a unanimous vote in the House side, and what that does, Jason, these are jobs that go unfilled every year. John Kennedy says every year there's 10 to 15,000 vacancies in state government. And so those jobs sit there unfilled, and that money sits in the budget, and nothing can be done with it. So he's saying if you can reduce government size by 5,000 positions for the next 3 years, we would save at least $500 to $600 million. And so that to me makes sense, and nobody refuted it. The governor just put his clamps on it in the Senate side, and they voted it down.
Right. So what it means is if somebody retires or leaves that position,
right.
it just goes
unfilled, and you do away with it. Now, the bill allowed for the Commission of Administration, in other words, the governor's office, to decide which jobs would go unfilled and which ones needed to be filled by importance. That'd be their prerogative. So, the bill, there wasn't out for the governor's people to say, yeah, that position needs to be filled, let's fill it, or let's not fill it. And that's what the bill did. Okay. So we were kind of disappointed in that fact, but we're going to bring the bill back next year until we get something done with it.
Okay, all right. So that will be something
Same with the public contracts. There's waste as far as contracts goes, and another bill that passed the House side, the Senate committee got it, and they kind of ripped it up to where they made it so weak it had no teeth in it. So Kennedy and I just decided not to let the Senate pass it like it was, and we're going to wait and bring that bill back next year.
Okay, all right.
Two good reform bills, Jason.
You're right, and let me ask you this question, because it's sort of a unique position that you're in, being with your party affiliation, if you will. How is it when you, as an independent, how is it when you have to go negotiate, in support of one bill and the other? Is it a little bit easier for you being an independent, that you can go to each side? The
good thing it is, but the bad thing I should say is I don't have a party to go caucus with and explain my bill and get support for it. So I have to get the speaker on my side if I want to get the Republicans. And the Democrats, I do the other thing, to go to them. So it's kind of good and bad. The good thing is, it's easy for me to get both sides sometimes on bills like this.
Right.
It's not a party conflict. So that's the good side of it. And the bad thing is, if the governor's a Republican, he's going to take sides with the Republicans. But this is a bill that had, when you look at the House side, it was unanimous vote, so both parties supported it. And look, I'm going to say this, Jason, when in committee on the Senate side, both the bills had more support from the Democrats than Republicans.
Okay.
Now, that's hard for me to understand.
Yeah.
When you're looking for good government bills, you got a Republican like Treasurer Kennedy who's supporting these bills, and the Democrats on the committees are supporting it, and not the Republicans on the Senate side. That just baffles me.
Yeah. I guess maybe that has some politics above everybody's head going in there.
That's the governor. He did not want the bills to be passed, and of course, he's got the authority. So what we're going to try to do next year is try to change the bills up a little bit to where we can get the governor to support them, and just try to win more support on the Senate side to get it passed. Of course, we'll have new senators. Might have a new governor, but I doubt it. So we'll try to win the support to get those bills passed, because that's the type of things we need to do to save some money. Because if you look at what we did this year, we had $600 million in one-time funds in his budget. So again, that's money that next year we won't have, that we have to fill holes with.
Right, and I know an issue of contention, if you will, on both sides was that of the cigarette tax towards the end. Kind of came on with the TOPS program and it being added, but ultimately, as I understand it, it's still in the bill. TOPS is approved, but it's now going to go to a vote of the people, and they're actually going to decide. Okay.
The people have their say now, and I can tell you when he put that cigarette renewal back on the TOPS bill, that gained an extra 20 votes for the governor on that TOPS bill, because that vote was going to be close until Representative Rich, put that amendment to put the cigarette tax renewal back on the table.
Oh, really?
And so that's going to help. To me, that's going to help people vote for this thing to pass, because I can tell you in my area, 70% of people statewide want some type of cigarette renewal or cigarette tax increase.
Okay.
So to me, that's going to help people go out and support this bill.
All right, and again, you mentioned higher education didn't receive as much cuts, I believe, as initially was let out to be.
From what they were threatening a year ago, I think higher ed was satisfied. There were some fee bills that were shot down because I think the legislature has enough as far as giving them carte blanche to raise tuition, and they want to wait and see what's going to happen, and they're thinking there's enough to get by, and there is, because of the fact that we supported this budget. With the tuition increases, nickels will be fine.
Okay, that's very good news.
That's the good news.
Yeah, right. Well, Representative Dee Richard, we appreciate you calling in. Any final thoughts to the members of your area?
My fellow comrades, we had a tough session. We stuck together as a delegation. I know the House Bill 2, which is a construction bill, there was some talk that there was folks around the state that were trying to take some coastal restoration money away from us. And we held steady, and we were able to hold our ground on that as a delegation, and we're looking good. So I appreciate their work on this, and we all worked as a delegation.
Well, and we thank you, as well as the other members of the local delegation, for working so hard and standing your ground on those tough issues to help represent us all. And we appreciate the work y'all do to go up to Baton Rouge and fight for us.
Well, thank you, Jason, and I thank the constituents for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate the call. All right, so there you have it. We've now heard from Representative Dee Richard, Representative Harrison, Representative Gordon Dove, and also State Senator Narby Chabert, who called in, and we appreciate it. And last night we heard from Truck Gisclair as well. Representative Gisclair called in to give his thoughts, not only on the overall session, but also on the bills in the protests concerning the shrimping industry. We appreciate everything he's doing with his battle, as he announced on the House floor. We wish him all the best of luck in the world with his fight as well, and we thank him for his service once again. And we thank those senators, Senator Gautreaux, who's termed out, as well as Representative Baldone, who's also turned out from the House side. So with that, we'll take a break. When we come back, I believe we have time to take a couple calls, or we may have another member of the delegation that calls in. If so, we'll take their call. If not, we'll go to the phone lines, 879-1231.